Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. This is your host Aminah Ahmed and you're watching Muslim Network TV. Welcome back to NextGen. On today's discussion of the suppression of voices, of youth voices and minority voices in India. You're watching us on Galaxy 19 satellite, muslimnetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV as well. Previously on NextGen, we have discussed the situation of minorities in India, particularly Muslims, Christians, and Dalits. We've also spoken on the rise of Hindu extremism, Hindutva ideology here in the United States as well. And recently we spoke about the farmers' protest and discussed how this protest is going down as the largest in human history. But we also believe on NextGen that it's important to highlight the voices of those on the ground, of activists, journalists, advocates on the ground in India. And in order to discuss that, to discuss the suppression of voices in India, we have someone who is personally impacted by that, who is on the ground in India right now, Sharjeel Usmani, who's a Muslim activist based in India and one of the leaders of the anti-CAA agitations. Usmani was also put into prison because of his work in this, and he writes columns and essays regarding the socio-economic status, the politics, and the relations of Indian state and the Muslim population in leading columns. Thank you so much, Sharjeel Usmani, for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
Sharjeel, back in September, you were granted bail after being in prison for 2 months. On what basis did the Indian government put you in prison?
The charges were all fictitious. Like I was one of the students who were leading the protests against CA and NRC in Aligarh Muslim University. And on 15th of December 2019, the police attacked the protesting students with pellet guns, stun grenades, uh, assault rifles, and even the banned smoke cannons. And after the attack, the police came up with this theory that those were the students who attacked the police. And I was charged with attempt to murder. Like a police, I was charged with attacking 19 policemen, looting their pistol, trying to cause riot, damaging public property, like three different attempt to murder cases against me, when it was the police who was attacking students. And it has been established by various independent fact-finding reports. Even the High Court judge of Allahabad bench, he said that he asked the police officials that what happened in AMU that you had to make it look like a war-like situation. What kind of what happened? What kind of protest there was that you attacked in such brutal way and made it look like a war? He looked at the pictures of the attack, and then he commented that. So all the charges were fictitious. Plus, one thing that is alarming about my arrest particularly was that I wasn't arrested by the regular police. I was arrested by the anti-terrorism squad, which again, makes like a Muslim inherently is a national security issue in India, and normal police won't deal with people like civilians like me, because we aren't normal civilians. We are a national security reason. So I believe that every Muslim youth is a potential threat to the idea of national security of India, because they tend to put fictitious terror charges on students, on Muslim students. Like, see the case of Sharjeel Imam. He's under UAPA. Or Asif Iqbal Tanha, another friend of mine. He was leading protests from Jamia, a student of BA Persian, final year. He's on terror charge in jail. Even a Muslim journalist, Siddiq Kappan, who went to cover the Hathras gang rape incident in UP's Hathras, even he is charged with terror charge for going to report on the story. So that is how being Muslim in India is like they can. It's basically our life is basically in their hand, and it's them when they want and who they want, and they can put them behind bar, and nobody is going to question them. Like, Muslims do protest, but the larger Indian majority, the other communities in India, the people with power, with privilege, with agency to speak, they remain silent. They don't do enough.
That's very interesting that you speak about even in the process of your imprisonment there was Islamophobia present when they were taking you to prison. But there were, you say that there were a lot of other students that were thrown into prison as well as a result of their work, but you gained immense amount of international coverage, of media coverage. Do you feel that if you hadn't gained that coverage, probably things would be different for you?
Yeah, things would have been a bit different in a way that after people started talking about my arrest, when I was being interrogated, or say when I was being tortured in the ATS headquarters. Uh, in the next morning, a senior officer came and he asked the subordinates not to carry on with what they were doing before, and that saved the me in a way that I wasn't tortured anymore because of all the attention my arrest received. Other than that, I think that I was treated the same way any other Muslim in India is treated at, in the hands of, in the custody of police and other state enforcement agencies.
Yeah, tell us about that, right? What did you experience in prison, as a Muslim? How was that experience different?
Prison, like, I don't know how to put it, but prison felt like a ghetto where I have been brought up, where I live. Like there are too many Muslims in my barrack, uh, in the jail itself. Like Muslims hugely outnumber their representation in jails, which is again an very interesting and show reveals the how the Indian state criminalizes Muslims in India. That despite being 20% or 10% in population, their representation in jail is often more than 40%, 50%. The national statistics says that Muslims are 16% in jails, but the number of Muslims who are on trial and are in jail is a lot more. And so the experience in jail was like it was like my AMU hostel, all Muslim students living together, sharing their problems, sufferings together. That was what jail was about to me, because since when I was arrested, the local newspapers, the local media, they had portrayed me in a way that everybody recognized my face. So when I went there, there was a clear cut division. The non-Muslim prisoners, they hated me, and the Muslim prisoners, they loved me, usually would have. So it was like when I it was a humbling experience in a way that when I saw the sufferings of other Muslim prisoners, those were incomparable with what I was facing. So I forgot about my own bales. Like I met a guy. I can't mention his name here. He's still in jail. Uh, he was brought in jail like 8 years ago. He was just married. Like he was married at 22. Uh, his wife was 21, and he was jailed like 7 months after his marriage. And his the kind of affection he has for his wife, and the that belonging going back to her wife. uh, his mother died while he couldn't meet her mother. So he would take this small passport size photograph of her wife and her mother, and he would keep it close to her. He would treasure it like it's some kind of treasure, most valuable thing for him. So there was the number of like hundred of such stories. I like every person had their whole story, and my days passed in jail by interacting with my fellow brothers there. And he learned Arabic in the jail, and he was leading the prayers, 5 time prayers inside our barrack, and he still is in jail. I don't know when or how will he be able to, and it's not just one story. There are, there are thousands of stories in such stories in jail. I don't know.
Yeah, so it seemed in jail that there was a difficult environment, but also probably a familiar environment where you say the majority of the population was Muslim. There were people that, they looked and acted just like the people that you grew up around. But Sharjeel, how has your life changed after prison?
It has changed in two way. One that am I'm recognized by too many people now. I like people whom I don't want to be recognized by. Like recently, I was in Mangalore for a meeting there, and Mangalore is a very communal city. It has been one of the first laboratories of RSS. They experiment their new agendas there, and then they implant it everywhere, export it to the rest of India. So I was in a primarily Hindu majority area, and I bought a packet of cigarette from a local shop, and I used my mobile online UPI transaction to pay him. So when you do online transaction, the sender's name appears on the shopkeeper's phone. When I asked him, see if you got the money, and he looked at my name, and then he looked at my face, and they started showing it to other people there. Luckily, I was with a taxi driver. I was going somewhere. I stopped midway to buy that. So I was with a car, and the car was on. So I went back and we drove off. But the driver later told me that had they caught you, you would have been beaten up, and that's why like I can't travel in public transport. To And this is not just with me; it's with all other activists. Uh, Primarily Muslim activists in India, they have to take such precautions. You have to always be vigilant. You have to check your phone's GPS. You have to, not have to be extra cautious. So that in that sense, it has changed. And in another sense, after coming out of prison, like prison gave me time to think. Like I had no work to do there, did not even get books to read, so it was just me and my thoughts. And like I had ample of time to think, so I was able to locate the real disease that is causing these problems in India. Like what what is that point where we have to attack, and then we have to challenge. And so what all mistakes we made during the course of movement. I was reviewing what I wrote, introspected what we said, what we planned, how could have been made better. So in that sense, I now I without before making any statement, before saying anything anywhere, before like giving any interview, I tend to sit down, think, and then I have got that sense of responsibility. Like I'm not just speaking for myself now. I have to speak for a lot more many people. So that sense of responsibility is here after I came out.
Yeah. And you speak about how you get a lot of unwanted attention now, and there's just threats everywhere, regardless of where you go. That you have to even cover your face and not take your phone with you, and fears of being tracked. What about your family? Do they face similar things as well, or is this just pertaining to you and other activists, other student activists, or does this affect their whole family and the people close to them?
Yeah, it obviously does affect the families of the activists, because uh, like in every hearing, like I'm banned from Aligarh. I can't visit my family unless for 6 months, and unless there's a court hearing in Aligarh, and I have to go to the court, and because of that I can meet my family. So that is one thing. They can't, my parents can't meet their son, because apparently the state government thinks that I am a threat to the peaceful environment of Aligarh, as if UP was so peaceful without me. Uh, and then the policemen, they come knocking your door any day, anytime, at 1 in night. ATS officers coming in inquiring, interrogating parents, interrogating, younger ones. So those all things happen, and most of it goes unreported because obviously, like, parents won't want unnecessary attention, and they'll again start more. They'll The policemen will start more aggressive intimidation tactics that deployed that. So yeah, they also have to, face a lot of issues because of what I do and what other actors do.
Sure.
Like
Sharjeel,
even
yeah. Sharjeel, we'll continue talking right after our break about what your parents have to face as a result, as well as the general situation of minorities in India. You're watching us on Galaxy 19 satellite, MuslimNetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV. We'll be right back with Sharjeel Usmani.
Billboards are popping up all over the country with an
Our neighbors don't realize that Muslims are absolutely opposed to ISIS.
Salam. My name is Abdul Malik Mujahid. I'm an imam in Chicago.
16 shots! No me! No justice! No me!
So how do we bring up the energy which can really have an impact on the world? You need to build bridges of understanding among people, and we need to have America moving forward. That lesson learned brought the strength of humanity to America, which is the diversity.
Mujahid Talks, only on Muslim Network TV. Faithfully connected.
Welcome back to NextGen. I'm here with Sharjeel Usmani, student activist and journalist who was imprisoned and received bail on September 2nd for the work that he does. Sharjeel, you were telling us about your family and the repercussions that they have to face because of your work. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, like media, even the media people, they also come and hound my parents, like dozens of mic on my father's face while he's going out for work. Like he isn't answerable to what I do, and what I say, but they won't have this decency to, they'll come knocking at our doors. They'll enter our house with their mics. So it is all, all chaos whenever I get into some controversy at my home.
So what does the suppression of these voices, of minority and student voices in India, tell us about the general direction that it's heading towards?
See, India, like I'm saying this with full responsibility, and this is not an exaggeration in any way. I'm I confidently believe that India is heading towards genocide. The groundwork for genocide is being laid at the moment in India, and this is with the international community that they tend to overlook or ignore when the groundwork is being laid. Like when the work started in Rwanda, the Western world said that it's just an ethnic clash between two communities. And later, when thousands and thousands of people died, they said, "Oh, it was a genocide," and then they shouted, "Never again." Now, same happened in Burma, and now same is happening in China and then India. So I don't want that India is added to that list. So the sooner the international community intervenes, the better for all the communities of India who are on the margins. And India is, like, I can't stress this enough, that India is heading towards genocide. This like the India's prime minister is coming from an organization uh, whose founders were inspired by Hitler. They have a Nazi style dress. They have a Nazi style supremacist militant cadre. They have, corrupted all the state organs. They they can do anything in India at the moment. And like if like there's this example of a Muslim comedian. He went to BJP ruled state, and he's in jail now. It has been over a month. His crime is that he was about to crack a joke that could have, that could have uh, caused enmity between communities or something like that. He did not commit the joke. The police just assumed on complaint of a son of a BJP leader that he could have, and he's in jail. And no is giving him bail. They are saying that people like him. Like the judge said that people like his name is Munawwar Faruqi. The judge says that people like Munawwar Faruqi must be punished. He was subtly directing the jail officials and police to punish him, use third degree. These are what judges are saying. Like CJI, the Chief Justice of India, he recently said in a bail hearing, the applicant was about to die. He was on deathbed. His kidney had failed. He was inside jail. So his lawyer moved for a bail application that, my lord, this person is my client is going to die. Let him meet his family, be with his family in the last moments. And the CGI says, well, if he's going to die, whether he dies outside or in prison doesn't matter. Let him die. Like the Chief Justice is saying things like that. The Home Minister uses words like termites for Muslims. These are termites. They should be thrown in Bay of Bengal. So, like BJP leaders openly say in their election rallies that if you want to teach Muslims lesson, vote for us. These things indicate that there is these are the signals that we are staring at a genocide in India.
So, and you speak about, not just the increasing Islamophobia, but you say outright, right, India is heading towards a genocide, and we have to be proactive in order to prevent that. But Sharjeel, as a result of your work, you have received immense backlash and, pain towards yourself and your family. What motivates you to continue doing the work that you're doing?
See, like I'm one of the most privileged Muslims, elite Muslim. Like my father is a teacher. He's a professor of geography at EMU, and like not many Muslim youths like me can afford to keep their education aside. Like all my classmates are in master's final year. They are about to do research, and I'm just a graduation student at the moment. So not every Muslim youth can sacrifice their education and do what I can do. So what I'm doing is a privilege. Like there are many students, many Muslim youths who want to do what I'm doing, but it's just that they have to take care of their family. They have other financial needs, which I don't have. So it's kind of privilege, and so that's why it's my duty to express their aspirations, their pain, their sufferings in the best way I can. And I hope I am able to do just to do that.
That is so interesting that you say that, you're in a position of privilege, even though you spent 2 months in prison, even though that, you go outside and you face threats from terrorists, you say that you are privileged. And I think that raises the question to those who are not in India, who may be of Indian origin but live in the diaspora. What is your ask to them? What can they do to support people like you and the causes that you fight for?
I wish they can amplify our voices more. Like we need to be heard. Like the media in India, it has been completely surrendered to the current regime, and even the social media, the ruling parties, IT cell or the propaganda cell, they tend to attack, humiliate, and harass Muslim activists more, to the female Muslim activists. Like we have seen what happened to Rana Ayyub or Safura Zargar, who was in jail. What kind of comments, what kind of things was said and done about them. So it's important that people in like the people Muslims living abroad, they can make our voices heard in places where it matters.
And for our audience that is tuning in today, I hope that you can listen to Sharjeel's advice and amplify the voices of Muslims in India before it is too late. I think that, in a way it is a bit late already, but before things do get worse, we need to amplify their voices. Thank you so much, Sharjeel, for being with us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and thank you to our audience for tuning in. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.